Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live session about the question and answers and the free consulting session with Wagner. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we hold this online event. I am in Brisbane, so it's the Vagner and the Turrbal people, and I would like to pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledging any First Nation people that is attending the live session or watching the replay. Okay, and also I would like to remind you guys that my online mentoring program, Validation Formula, the enrollments are still open. It will close this Sunday, the 28th of May at 11:59 p.m. If you want to become an engineer in Australia this year, you still have time. We are in May, and in about probably 3 or 4 months' time, if you work and dedicate some time during this period, you will be able to submit your application and become an engineer here in Australia still this year. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the comments. So if you're interested, you want to have a look or just to know my program, just follow the link and you will see the investment and all those bonuses that will be available to you. All right, so we will I will invite Wagner and we'll start our later today or tonight because Wagner is in Brazil and he had duties as a father. So he had to, I think, drive his kids to the school. So we had to start a little bit later, but yeah, that's what fathers do. Tomorrow and tonight I'm going to be a bit brief after the consulting because I also have my father duty tomorrow morning. My daughter, she goes to rowing, Remo, and she starts at 5:15 in the morning. So I'm going to wake up about 4 a.m. in the morning to get ready to drive her to the rowing. So I gotta sleep a little bit early tonight so I can have a quality sleep and wake up 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. But that's all right. That's what fathers do, isn't it, Wagner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning for me and good evening for you.
Yes, and welcome. And thank you very much for participating or to have participated in the workshop. And thanks for your engagement. Thanks for answering those questions in Instagram and watching the live sessions. You participated in all of the live sessions. Thank you. And congratulations in being one of the winners of the free consultation. And I would like you to introduce, please, yourself, your name, and what type of engineering you graduated. When did you graduate? Where are you? And what's your plans? And then you can start with your questions.
Okay. So I'm Wagner. I am a mechanical engineer. I graduated in 2021. And now I am trying to move to Australia. But spend a lot of time and money to achieve this objective. But I am trying to validate my certification first,
Yeah.
just to be sure that when I go to Australia everything will happen good. So the first step is validate my certification.
Yes, it's certainly important, especially if you are in Brazil. Are you working as a mechanical engineer in Brazil?
No, no, not yet.
Not yet.
Because uh, I
Yeah, but when
am
you
I
are in
am
Brazil, it's always easier to do other things and then studying English and working your validation process. So yeah,
yes, I am employed for 6 months and I'm trying to find a job in engineering. So,
Yeah.
so it's hard here.
Yeah, things in Brazil, I'm Brazilian. I've got friends in Brazil. My family's in Brazil. I know how difficult is the things in Brazil, and yeah, wish you certainly all the best. All right, so yeah, Wagner, what's your questions or first question?
Okay, my main question is how to prove my job experience in the report because as I told you, my experience is based on quality, not in design, as you said. That you said for Australia, for mechanical engineering to prove the design experience for mechanical engineer. So I work with projects and project management, and I don't know if this is sufficient to prove.
Yeah, the project management is a bit. I'm just going to open here. I won't be able to show uh, in there, but I will read the definition of the mechanical engineer according to the ANZ SEO occupation definition, the Australian New Zealand Standard Classification of Occupations. And the mechanical engineer, according to, and the definition that Engineers Australia is going to use, it says here, mechanical engineer plans, designs, organizes, and oversees the assembly, erection, operation, and maintenance of mechanical and process plants and installations. So it's usually the examples that I saw from mechanical engineers. It's really about designing and implementing processes, industrial processes, manufacturing, even plant or factories. We call probably in American English factories. Here we call plant. Parts, when you're designing parts, etc. These are main components of mechanical engineers. So uh, if your experience about quality, what type of have particular a little bit more details in the quality area that you worked?
Uh, I was responsible for the quality management system, and I worked at the implementation of a standard ISO and develop all the process based on this standard.
Yeah, the implementation of quality, for example, what they call in Portuguese, uh, his TQM, Total Quality Management, ou gerenciamento total da qualidade. This is usually a technologist job here in Australia. I have few engineers that they contacted me saying that they implemented, for example, civil engineers implementing ISO or quality assurance or quality management systems in different job sites, and Engineers Australia didn't like it. So because they believe that the implementation of quality systems and quality assurance is more for technologist level. So you can try, but there's obviously depends always on the person, the assessor, the Engineers Australia person that is looking after your case. But in my view, uh, is very risky. So there's a big chance if you write your career episodes based on implementation of quality management, implementation of ISO 9001 or whatever other standard, there's, in my opinion, from what I've seen, there's a big chance that they're going to ask you to write a new career episode, especially because implementation of quality quality systems is not really in the definition of the mechanical engineer. So same thing with project management. As I mentioned during the workshop, experience in project management, it's is also a bit iffy because Engineers Australia, they assess they evaluate for engineers. So if you are a mechanical engineer, so they want to know your engineering knowledge, your engineering skills. When you use project management skills, you are demonstrating your skills as a project manager. And the word is different, engineer and manager. Manager is a manager, gerente. Engineer is an engineer, engenheiro. So even though sometimes the engineers, they work as project managers, but the fundamentals between engineering and project management are very different. So I've seen many cases where engineers, they use project management experiences as a main body of their experience, and Engineers Australia doesn't like it because it is about project management. Is not really about engineering. So, and they say, sorry, but you should be applying with another organization, not with Engineers Australia, if you want to use your project management experience.
Okay.
Yeah, but in your case, if you don't have a relevant work experience that you can use in your career episodes, and that happens quite frequently, you can use your academic engineering experience. So
Okay.
subjects that you did in your mechanical engineering degree, when you studied mechanical engineering, you can use some of the subjects and then base your career episodes on those subjects.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. I have a case that I used my engineering knowledge,
Yeah.
but in my position, I was quality assurance analyst. I don't know if this has some part.
Quality assurance, sorry?
Analyst.
Quality assurance analyst.
Yeah, but working this position, I had a challenge where I fix a machine that we had problems, and I solved it with the maintenance and operations team. And I don't know if I can use this case, isolated case, or I need to have a huge experience.
Well, potentially, if as a quality assurance analyst, let's say that you've identified there was a quality issue, and then you investigated why that quality issue was happening, and
Yeah.
you came up with a conclusion that the machine had some defects or something, and you had to fix the defect of that machine, and then you put together the solution to fix that machine. And by fixing the machine, you fix the quality issue. So in that case, depends what, obviously, depending on what you did to fix the machine, what sort of engineering judgment, or maybe, I don't know, if you designed something to fix, or you improved a part, or you changed the process, whatever. But potentially, it could be a good case. You just need to, instead of focus on the quality assurance, you need to focus that there was a problem. The problem was the lack of quality, and the problem was that there was a defect in the machine, and you fix that machine. So if you focus in the fixing of the machine, it's probably you have better chances to align with the definition according the occupation definition. Instead of focusing the quality assurance, you focus on the solution that you use to fix the machine.
Yes, yes. I had some meetings with the manufacturer of the machine, and I proposed some change in the structure of the machine.
Yeah.
So we changed some part of this machine, and we solved the problem with this change.
Yes, if you can develop your career episode around the proposal that you did, and then you just need to elaborate. All right, to come up with that proposal, I found out what the problem was. I did my research about options that I had to solve the problem, and then I did this research. I looked at the specifications, whatever the standards, and then I came up with this solution. And then I implemented that solution. Potentially, it could be a good case.
Yeah. So good to know that. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, I was really proud about this achievement. We save a lot of money in the company, and I think this is the most relevant experience that I had related
Right.
to the engineering.
And do you remember what experience did you use in your final assignment, your TCC?
Yes, I use the application of FIMEA
FEMEA.
in
Yeah.
a, in a, in a project development.
Okay.
And we start to identify and analyze possible risks before starting the project, before starting the development of the product. So you can see the risks during the development process, not during the the manufacturing, where you have a lot of money to spend to correct the risk. I don't know the word.
Yeah, you try to do the pre-work, all the planning work first, and then obviously try to identify issues before you start manufacturing. Yeah.
Yes, just to save money, because in the project moment you can change what you need, the, and you have not so huge impact on the project.
Yeah, that potentially could be used. Um, the trouble with the mechanical engineer, like the civil engineer in Brazil, is that when you graduate and when you study mechanical engineering, for example, sometimes it mix up with production engineer and sometimes with industrial engineer as well. So according to Australia, because a lot of mechanical engineers, they do a lot of things in Brazil,
Yeah,
but things that sometimes you do there as a mechanical engineers, they don't do here in Australia. Here, the things that some mechanical engineers, they do in Brazil, here in Australia, it's the production engineer that they do, or could be the industrial engineers that they do. So yeah, that's sometimes it can be a little bit complicated because you think that because you've done as a mechanical engineer, you could be using that experience here in Australia. But yeah, sometimes it's a bit how can I say, it's a bit sad that
yeah,
you it's difficult for you to use your experience there to use here in Australia.
yeah. I see a lot of jobs opportunities here where they require a mechanical engineer, but you don't need to use your knowledge in mechanical, because the job description here is a mix of others engineering.
Yeah.
So, in my case, my job experience, I was mechanical engineer engineer working in the quality. So
Yeah.
I didn't use
Yes.
the mechanical knowledge. This is common here.
Yeah, but one thing that you could do is from now on, if you're planning, for example, to start your validation process in 1 year or two, whatever, from now on, maybe you could, where you are now, you could start probably trying to do things that could be aligned to the mechanical engineering here, and then start creating your experience to use in the near future for your validation.
If I start consulting as a mechanical engineer for small companies here, this experience is relevant for that.
Yeah, it depends on the consulting service that you do. If you're going to do, for example, consulting firms here in Australia, they do a lot of design. Majority of the consulting firms here, they just do design work. So if you're going to do consulting, but then designing parts, designing machines, designing other things, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, because I was thinking to start that here because I am not working, so I need to work
Yeah,
in
and
a way.
if you can then have your ART including all of those things, obviously it's a good evidence of your technical work.
Yeah, I activate my I don't know in English
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
here just to do this ERT
yeah,
and start this consulting.
yeah. No, it's all good, Wagner. Yeah. So just read and reread the definition of the mechanical engineer here in Australia, and have a chat with maybe a migration agent as well, because as a mechanical engineer, sometimes there is one thing that they say here that is a close related occupation. As a mechanical engineer, you may, depending on your experience, you may apply as a production engineer or as an industrial engineer. And depending on your experience, applying as a production engineer or industrial engineer could be a little bit easier. But also, it's important to know if, in terms of migration objectives, if that's going to help you. Because sometimes, if you are a mechanical engineer but you get approved as a production engineer, uh, it's good. But if your migration plans require you to be a mechanical engineer because it's in the list and in the state that you're going, it's going to be better if you are a mechanical engineer. I don't know, maybe production engineer could be good as well, but if it is just mechanical engineer, and if you get validated as a production engineer, it's not going to help too much your migration process. So it is important to talk to a migration agent and put together like a migration plan. So when you do your validation, you understand if it is okay to do with mechanical engineer, if it is okay to be a production engineer, or perhaps okay to do as industrial engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you please send the link where I can read the description of mechanical engineering?
Oh yeah. That's for sure. I'll put in here. If you Google mechanical, I'm just typing here in the comments. Mechanical engineer, ANZSCO. If you Google this one, and then you go in the first result. That's going to be the website of the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics. And when you go down a little bit, there is the definition of the mechanical engineer there. And there's also the definition of the production or plant engineer. And I think there's the definition of industrial engineer as well.
So can I apply for production engineer being mechanical engineer?
If your experience is, because mechanical engineer and production engineer, they're sort of a close related occupations, and if your experience kind of matches more the production engineer occupation definition, yeah, you should apply for that. I know some engineers that already did that, even telecommunications engineers that they were approved as electronics engineer. I have one student that she's aeronautical engineer, and she was approved as a mechatronic engineer. So when the occupation is close related, and if your experience is matching that occupation, you can try, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Do you have any other particular question there, Wagner?
Related to the first question, if my case of I used to apply need my, I don't know, CLT, minha carteira de trabalho, need to be the same register that I related to the case, or no, just the job experience?
Yeah, the position, you mean the title of the position? Yeah, the title of the position doesn't quite matter, because there's a lot of engineers that they are in the contract. It says that they are analysts, when in fact they were doing engineer job. So as long as the description, the details of the work that you did is actually for engineers, doesn't really matter that if you are a mechanical analyst or mechanical designer, whatever, you can apply as a mechanical engineer, as long as what you are going to describe in your experience is about engineering.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
All right.
I think my question was solved now.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Wagner. Again, I thank you very much for your time and for your participation during the workshop. And I hope that the workshop helped you to understand a little bit better the validation process. And yeah, I hope to catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity, for the workshop that helped me a lot, and for your time here to this free consulting.
Yeah, no worries. So it's all good.
Thank you so much.
All right then. Thank you very much, Wagner.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. See ya. And yeah, that was Wagner, a mechanical engineer from Brazil. And yes, there's always a challenges when sometimes the experience that you had is not quite aligned with the occupation that you want to apply for. But sometimes there are other ways to apply. If your experience end up becoming more like a close related experience, you can apply with other occupations if they are close related, and if your experience is about that different occupation. If you have any questions, please send in the comments. I will answer some of the questions that I received, and we will finalize the live session. And again, don't forget that the enrollments for my mentoring program are still open. The link is in the comments, I think. I don't know if I can pin that one there. Yeah, I can. So I pinned the link for you to visit my validation mentoring website. Have a look. If you have any questions, send me a direct message. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Okay, so I will answer some more questions. And tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Brisbane time, it's going to be 7 a.m. Brasilia time. We'll be live again, this time with Carla Bandeira. She was also one of the winners of the free consulting with me. And tomorrow evening, we're going to have our session, and also I'm going to be answering more questions. Okay, so I'll just see some of the questions there. Yeah, this question is about the RSEA. RSEA is the Relevant Skilled Employment Assessment. So that's another service that Engineers Australia, they do. And pretty much is to validate the work experience. And important to say that the RSEA is validation of work experience, which is separate to the validation of your engineering qualification. So if you want to know more about the RSEA, it's important for you to talk to a registered migration agent, because the objective for the RSEA is for you to get more points for your validation, for your migration process. So, and because I'm not a registered migration agent, I can't really give you advice on migration. So I do encourage you guys to talk to a registered migration agent. But in the booklet, there are some information about the RSEA. You basically need to provide your primary and the secondary documents. Primary documents mean the reference letter from the company that you work for, and also the secondary documents are usually the government documents, like a tax income, which is imposto de renda, your social security statements, INSS statements, extratos do INSS, your superannuation statements, which is the FGTS status. If you have any job contract, if you have your carteira de trabalho, your CLT carteira de trabalho, and also your ARTs are going to be helpful as well, your technical responsibility annotation document from CREA. So all of those documents is to prove that you worked in that company for a period of time and you did the work that you say that you did. So just you saying that you did the work is not good. You need to demonstrate and prove that you actually did that work. The other question that I usually received, and I received during the workshop, is about people saying that they are permanent residents already, or even they were not permanent residents, they didn't really want to validate the qualification for migration purposes. They just wanted to be a member of Engineers Australia. So in that case, there's a process called the stage 1 of the membership. Is membership eligibility stage 1. So the process is very, very similar to the competency demonstration report. The only difference is that the stage 1 of membership of eligibility, you don't have migration purposes. So if you are approved under the stage 1 of membership, you are eligible to become a member of Engineers Australia, but you cannot use that outcome or that approval on as part of your migration purpose. There are some very slight differences in terms of the curriculum vitae. It needs to be a verified CV. If you have a verified CV, which means that for each experience, each company experience, you have it verified by the company, especially by an engineer. And also in terms of English requirements, you don't need to do tests if you can get a letter from the company saying that you were proficient in English. So that's for the stage 1 of membership. If you're going to do the CVR process, you will need an English test. Other questions that I received. Yeah, that's a very common question. How long does it take for the processing times? Well, first of all, it's important to understand that between 8 and 15 weeks is the processing time of Engineers Australia. So once you submit your application as a standard CVR application, it can take between 8 to 15 weeks. If you pay an extra fee, about $350, you can apply fast track, which is going to be then probably about 4 weeks. But that is the time when you submit your application. Obviously, there's the time that you need for you to prepare your application and also to get your English test results. A lot of people, they prepare all the application, they write all the reports, and they try to get the English test and they can't. So they take a lot of time to get the minimum English test scores. So that's another thing. But in terms of Engineers Australia processing times, anything between 8 and 15 weeks for normal process, and about 4 weeks, a little bit more or less, if you pay fast track. All right. Last question for today. It's about jobs. What's the possibility to get a job after the qualification validation? Obviously, there's no guarantee that once you get your validation, you're going to get a job. Because one, you need to have the skills, obviously, to be able to get that job. Even if you prove that you have the skills to become an engineer in Australia, getting a job is a separate thing. What it can help is that there will be many others looking for jobs. Let's say that there are 20 people, usually there's more, but let's say there are 20 people applying for the job that you are applying. If in those 20 people, 10 are validated and 10 are not validated, and if the 10 that are validated, there are people that they have good skills, if you were the company hiring someone, do you think that the company is going to choose the validated or the non-validated? If there are validated engineers that they have good skills, it's more likely that the company will choose somebody that is already validated. So, which means that the validation process can be a point of difference in your favor. So, although it may not guarantee that you're going to get a job, but it will give better chances during the recruitment process. I know that because I participate in many recruitment panels. I've recruited already, I lost count how many engineers and project managers I recruited. And Every time that we get 50, 70 applications, those ones that are not validated, almost automatically they go out, because there are many, many other validated engineers. Not counting that here in Queensland, majority of the positions that we hire, we require them to be not just validated, but also registered, which is the second stage of the engineer here in Australia. So if somebody is not even validated, we don't even look at the resume, because we are asking for registration. And we know that somebody that's not validated will take at least 3 years to become registered. And if we are recruiting somebody, we need somebody now. So there's no point for us to even interview people that are not validated, because we know that they're going to take some time to get validated and then more time to get registered. Okay. All right. So yes, we are going a little bit over time, 43 minutes. And I do need to wake up very early tomorrow, 4 a.m. So I will have to finish tonight. But tomorrow, 8 p.m. Brisbane time, 7 a.m. Brasilia time, I will be live again, answering questions about the validation process that I received. And if you guys have any questions, you can post the questions online. And also I'm going to be delivering the free consulting with Carla Bandeira. She's an environmental engineer, and I'll have a chat with her. So I would like to